Hey guys, Megan here, and coming to you from my office instead of the studio today because I just felt like a whole thing to go down there. But I wanted to talk about Instagram and Instagram scheduling tools. I know that a lot of you are wanting to optimize Instagram this year, especially with all the new stuff they're coming out with, Reels and um, you name it. They are just constantly tweaking it. And Instagram can be a really good way for you to get new eyeballs or on your stuff or develop better relationships with your fans and your customers. But it's not the best option. So before I get into it, I want to make clear that I understand the need for some of us to be on Instagram, but don't feel like you have to be. Be where your customers are. So that's just a caveat that I want to say. I talk about that in a blog post, which I'll link to, about how to figure out which social media platform is the best for you and for your business. And it doesn't necessarily have to be Instagram, but if it is, then keep watching because we're going to go into how to make that a little bit easier for you. But again, caveat, don't feel like you have to be on Instagram if your fans aren't there. If you're not a visual company, if you can't do consistent outreach and posting, then don't feel pressured to do it. Do what feels best for you and for your business. But that said, let me talk about 4 different schedulers that I have tried and my results with them. So Instagram rewards people who are organically on the app. And what I mean by that is posting live through the app and not through schedulers. And I have no source for this, but I think that the ones who have access to auto posting on Instagram, I feel like it's sort of a compromise that Instagram is willing to make as long as you won't get dinged. My opinion, not fact. I don't feel like you'll get dinged for using a scheduler if you're still engaging on the app. But, that said, there are only a couple of scheduling tools that do have auto post capabilities, and I'm going to show you a couple of them right now and the one that I decided to go with. So the ones that we're going to go through right now are Planoly, Plan, Later or Latergram, and Grum. So first, let me go with Grum. I got Grum as a lifetime deal on AppSumo, which I talk about all of the crazy things that I bought on AppSumo in another video, and I'll link it up there. But Grum was one of the first that I could find that was a auto scheduler for Instagram, and it was very simplistic, fine, got the job done. The site still exists, but as for if it's still functional, I honestly have no idea. I tried it again and I think it's broken. So if you're stumbling on like best Instagram apps that are cheap or things like that and you see Grum, I personally wouldn't recommend it. I don't think it's functional anymore, and I think that you should probably spend your money elsewhere. Now, next is Later or Latergram. Later is probably the first and most visible scheduling tool for Instagram. They have a really easy to use interface, and a pro that I really find with them is that they're very engaged with their user base. They have LaterCon, which is a free Instagram conference they run, I think, once or twice a year, and their newsletters are excellent for learning about Instagram and how to kind of use the algorithm to your advantage. But the cons that I found with it is that it does not support Instagram stories. You cannot use the same login for multiple accounts. So if you have, like me, I have 2 accounts. Well, I have more than 2, but I have 2 business accounts. And so you can't use the same login and billing for one account, which can get kind of cumbersome. And it also doesn't support first comment feature. So first comment is if you want to put hashtags or a pinned comment or something like that after your post. Now, is that a deal breaker? For me, it is. I feel like if it's a function that exists, then I should be able to access that function. You know what I mean? So those are my pros and cons with Later. Next is Plan. I love Plan. I think they're very cool. I love the developers behind it. It's a beautiful interface. I think that they have the best stats and hashtag analysis through any of the platforms I've ever looked through. I really like what they're doing, and they just, not that this is Instagram related, but they just released a LinkedIn feature too, so I can see that they're really trying to grow and make it as available and as functional as possible. The biggest con, of course, is that they are not an Instagram partner, so they do not have the auto post feature. And that might not be a deal breaker for some of you, but again, this is like the first post thing where if it's a feature that's available somewhere, then I want to have access to it. Next is Planoly, and to me, I find Planoly very easy to use. I like that they have story feature, they have carousel feature. Carousels and stories do not auto post, by the way. It can handle multiple accounts under the same login, and it also has the first comment capability. One thing I also enjoy is that if you are an account that likes to share other people's content, UGC, then they have a function on there that can allow you to kind of source things by hashtags and find relevant things for you to be able to auto post. Now, the cons behind it are that they don't have the best stats analysis, especially compared to Plan. I don't find that they have any helpful hashtag research, which is huge. Like, come on, that is a huge thing to need. And I find that their support, anytime I've had issues, it's taken a while for their support to get back to me. Now, that could just be because of COVID, so I'll give you that asterisk, but there's a couple of stumbling blocks there. However, the app that I have found the most useful is Planoly. I've been using Planoly for over a year now, and I have found that it makes my life so much easier. I'm able to post audiograms of my podcast episodes automatically, images automatically. Like I said, I can't do stories or carousels with them, which is fine automatically, but the first post, the drag and drop features, it's a no-brainer for me, and I really love Planoly. I would absolutely recommend it out of all of the other ones that I have tried. Now, as for things like Tailwind or Buffer that have Instagram capabilities loosely, I will say that if it's an app that has Instagram as an add-on, I find that it's just not as helpful. You know, Tailwind is amazing for Pinterest. It has Pinterest down to a science. But as for Instagram, it's not enough. The price of it is not enough value, in my opinion, as compared to something like Planoly. And same with Buffer, Hootsuite, things like that. You know, when it's an Instagram add-on feature rather than the primary feature, to me, it's not worth. If you're using them already and you don't want to spend more money, then I understand. But if Instagram is something that you're really wanting to dedicate a lot of time to, then it makes sense that you're going to invest in something that is going to help you with that. And I don't find, in my opinion, that Buffer, Hootsuite, Tailwind, any of those others are going to take it to the next level for you in a way that Planoly or Later or even Plan, for that matter, really will. So that's my recommendation. I definitely recommend Planoly. If you want a further tutorial about how I use it, check my Instagram workflow video. I'll link it down at the bottom and you can see how I do that. Now, if you want even more help, join my Facebook group because I do weekly live streams about different types of engagement tactics and marketing tools that you can use. And Instagram is definitely something that I really love to talk about. So I'll link that below, but definitely join the Facebook group. I do live streams there every Friday. I'd love to see you there. But in the meantime, see you next week.